I requested Kartikeya Prabhuji to organize this because many of you were coming to me. So I thought that I will give a common general seminar and then we will say one to one, right, for your specific planning. So this seminar will help you to at least think through what are the important things. So before we say it, you can come with prior plan, like some questions which you may have to think through, you have to discuss yourself. All of you are bachelors, right? There's no one who is right here. So now, as Kartikeya Prabhu said, this is not just financial planning. This is Krishna conscious financial planning. Why? Because we have something add on because we are investing so much already. What are we investing? We are investing our whole life for Krishna. So that Krishna will also give you dividend. Krishna, so we have an add-on return also. You know, and that return comes, which he actually promises, right? In 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 22nd verse. Can anyone recite the verse? Ananya yes, Kumar.
Ananya Santayanto Mam Yena Paripasate Tesham Pratyayutana Yoga Kshema Bhavya.
So he promises that, I'll take care of you. And some acharyas write that it is spiritual, but some acharyas do write that it is, also material, because in a devotee's life who has given everything to Krishna, there is nothing material left. So everything you do is spiritual. So Krishna will take care of you. Like we heard that story where Krishna did take care of that Brahmana's food. Right? So a pure devotee of Krishna depends completely on his mercy, begging for his service, and in return gets personal relation with Krishna. So now when my Guru Maharaj asked me that Shri Gaur, why don't you plan for full-time services? And I tell you, this opportunity does not come to everyone, because the devotee who brought me to Krishna consciousness, his name is Radharaman Prabhuji, who is currently in Kolkata. He almost throughout his life has lived a life of full-time devotee. Only initially 1-2 years he served somewhere. He was the one who guided me through my initial phases of Krishna conscious life. He has been very exemplary in the way he serves the mission. So I always thought that someone who brings you to Krishna consciousness, you always admire that person. Right? So I always used to admire that someday I would also like to serve the way he's serving, in a sense, full time. And then there was another devotee, Sadhu Priya Prabhu. So I was in Moscow during my student years. The way, most of you are now in corporate life, but in my student year when I was exposed to Krishna consciousness in 1997, Sadhu Priya Prabhu was a Grasta, he was a businessman. And his office was in the temple. So he used to serve so much that, the temple gave him a space. And he used to run his office because it was his business. He used to run it from office, from temple. And now he is the temple president, of one of the temples of Moscow. He is still there. So when we have someone, like these devotees, you always plan very well in advance. And somehow, I don't know how, Guru Maharaj, they can see through. So he specifically instructed, because many devotees told me that, your spiritual master very, very, very rarely would allow Rastas to do full time, because he is very careful that there should not be any setback. Once you take full time and then you realize otherwise you have not taken a wise decision, then you again. So it does not give good impression to the entire society. So when my Guru Maharaj, asked me, it was uh, it was giving me a clear direction of what I should be doing. So then I started planning that how I should do it, that so that it should not bring a bad impression to anyone. So I worked on this in the direction of many devotees. So somehow Krishna arranged that there was a devotee in Vrindavan, like 3 years back I was in Vrindavan for 7 years. So there was a devotee in Vrindavan who was a full-time, that time. And he used to chant many rounds. He would be my age or even less than my age. And he would sit in Prabhupada's house and chant 64 rounds every day. And he happened to meet Anand Vrindavan Prabhu there, in Prabhupada's house, because Anand Vrindavan Prabhu also loves chanting. And he kind of admired this devotee, and he said that, I see you every day here, and what are you doing? And then this devotee shared that, I'm kind of planning to be full-time. So Anand Vrindavan Prabhu told that I can help you with your finances. And then this devotee introduced me to Anand Vrindavan Prabhu. And then I called up Anand Vrindavan Prabhu and I went to Mumbai from Vrindavan to discuss with him. So, before that I had a very wrong impression of mutual funds. Because, if you invest without proper understanding, then you will end up losing money. And I had lost money. In my experience, I had lost money because I just invested because someone told me that it is good, and after maybe 7-8 years I wanted some money, so I withdrew the money, and I got less than what I had invested. So I thought, like, this is no way, this is not the right way of investing money. This is not the right avenue where you should put your money. But when I was introduced to Anand Vrindavan Prabhu told me that before coming and meeting me, you hear my class. Right? So I heard his class a couple of times. And I got, a devotee who is a professional in the same line, he explains you something. Then, I really understood that where I went wrong in class, and what it is, how it can help a devotee. Because as you are sitting here, I think so, he also gave that class to youth. So then I went and met him. So he explained me everything nicely, that how I was doing things and all. And thereafter I also did a course because I kind of was planning heavily on this thing, because Anand Vrindavan Prabhu is categorical about that you should not be investing in any other avenues like land, gold and anything else. So I thought that if I will put my whole money in this, then I should do some course. Because we are all professionals. So when you kind of do something, you get a 360 view, right? And the whole amount, your whole life is dependent. So if you know in and out of things, then you will be able to manage things properly, manage things nicely, even if you don't have an advisor. So I also did a course. The person's name, I think so, is Varun Malhotra. He's also an engineer like most of you, and an MBA. And then he also studied these things. And now he's a full-time coach. So he runs two courses like this. One is a free, like they are Flip and Flap, FLIP and FLAP, Flip and Flap. You can search, like one of them is free and one of them is paid. At that time I paid like 20,000 if I'm not wrong, so it is not too much. And he's not an advisor, but he's a kind of a teacher. He will give you a proper understanding of what is what. So this is kind of an introduction. But if your time allows, if your money allows, I would request that you also go through that. One of them is free. I don't remember which one is free. That is like 3-4 hours. And the paid version, he professionally takes you through everything. What is what, the formulas, how you should be calculating, when you can withdraw, how you can plan, all those things very nicely. So that is the basic. And then can someone read what this slide says? One of you can read. Vishnu.
The source of our income is not actually the source of our maintenance. Every living being from the great Brahma down to an insignificant ant is being maintained by Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ego Bhavanam Vidati Kama. The one Supreme Being, Krishna, maintains everyone. Our so-called source of income is our own choice only. If I wish to be a hunter, it will appear that hunting is the source of my maintenance. If I become a Brahmana and completely depend on Krishna, I do not conduct a business, but nothing less. Nonetheless, my maintenance is supplied by Krishna.
Thank you. So, here in the Prabhupada is clearly saying, and why did I put it here? Because I met other devotees also to check like how should I plan my life. So, one Maharaj, Vrindavan Chand Maharaj, again from Vrindavan, he told me that finance is one thing, but more than that is that you should be disgusted with what you are doing now. So, that is your job, right? And at the same time, you should have something tangible to do when you plan to be full time. Otherwise, you will, end up being confused. You may desire that should I go there again, or because if you take a wrong decision, like both the things are there. So one thing is not just financial planning will help you. You can be financially independent, but our aim is not just be financially independent. Our aim is Krishna consciousness, right? So you can never become financially independent, and I'll tell you why. Until unless you are deep into Krishna consciousness. Your core objective should be Krishna consciousness. Philosophy, association, entire family thing. That is the main thing. And then what Prabhupada writes here, ultimately our dependence on Krishna. That is more important because, however, how much planning you do, this is all, we saw how the market crashed during COVID, in our time, just 2 years back. And that market picked up, but that can happen anytime. And that picked up pretty fast, but you never know what will happen. You never know what will happen to us any moment, right? So and we all do this because we have dependence, or for ourselves to get fully independent. And some of you may want to marry, or some of you may, you may have some family responsibilities where you want to fulfill them before you take full time, right? Even now. So for anything, your dependence on Krishna will always be the basis. Will always be the basis. Otherwise, financial independence, even Americans do are not, Krishna conscious. So financial planning is not just limited to devotees. It is even done by others also. Because Monday morning 8 a.m. no one likes. And everyone likes Friday evening. Right? So no one actually likes to go to office, whether the person is a junior most associate or the CEO. So everyone plans for being financially independent. So they may plan to live their life casually, watching football matches or whatever it is. But we always have someone on our back to support us. We have Krishna. And we have devotees who will always hand over us. We have an entire institution which has been put by Srila Prabhupada to support us. So financial independence, can only be sustainable for us if we are strong in philosophy, if we have good association. At the same time, you should be preaching, right? Because preaching is something which helps you to sustain everything, which helps you to imbibe, your own whole Krishna conscious philosophy, what you're learning from association. And so, whatever you are, wherever you are, in whatever capacity you are in, you should always try to preach. And preach in a very systematic way. Not, you preach when you go out on the streets, giving Gita postcards, but systematic preaching of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam will help you to imbibe those values. Like, your financial independence will not be independent of Krishna, right? You will always know that, you have to depend on Krishna. That is the key for devotees. And I have seen, like, this mind is very fickle, as Arjuna says, right? And Krishna acknowledges. And if we don't have these things, then our goal will keep changing. And you may not realize that now, because most of you are bachelors. You have kids? Yeah. So, right? So when you have kids, and when you talk about your parents, they would have gone all out for you. They would have gone all out for you. Some of them may not even have money, So, and that was true for me. My father was a businessman and he was from a good family. But I saw that he always wanted me to study from the best of the schools. So he put me in the India school, right? And it's very expensive school, boarding school. And I know that even though he would struggle financially, but he would want me to study, the best. And same happens with us when we have kids, that we want our kids to study, to get the best, whatever, not only, education, but whatever. Now, my experience in my corporate life, I will tell you, and that will be very helpful for you. Because we will not be material parents, which is why it is important for us to be very strong in philosophy. So in my corporate experience, I was not a global head, as Karthikeya Prabhu said. I head the APAC for oncology division in my company, right? So I manage people from all the countries in Asia, like Australia, China, Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, India, everywhere. And I have been doing this for long, and even from India. So when I would manage, all the CVs go through me, right? And I see their qualifications. Not all of them are, medical students. They're not all doctors. There may be someone as simple as BSc, MSc. And they are also earning 50 lakhs. While a doctor will not be earning 50 lakhs. Right? So we often, in the classes, we hear that Prabhuji has already defined what things you will get in your life. And I see that. Which is why when my wife and I discuss, we are very clear about one thing. That we will not be over ambitious for our kids' education. Although we are both doctors. Right? If they want, if they're destined, they will. We will not be negligent. Right? So one of our main purpose why we came from Vrindavan to Bangalore was also kids' education. Right? And now my daughter, who is in 12th, now my daughter was homeschooled by her mother. Her mother is a pediatrician. She left her job. She left her clinical practice. She taught her kids, the daughter and the son, at home. That is homeschooling. And she taught from Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana. Right? Because of that, not only the basics are strong, and we went to Vrindavan for kids also, primarily for kids, because we wanted them to study in Gurukul. Okay. So that gave them, the kids, a very, very strong foundation. Because when we read scriptures, when we start, it's so difficult. You cannot understand. So when these small kids, 4 years, 3 years, when they are taught from Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, their comprehension becomes so strong. Yesterday, I went to Allen Coaching Institute, and the teacher said that your daughter is so sharp that if she hears one thing once, then she will never forget it. And what he said was, we need support from you to make sure that she is clear on that she wants to crack the medical. Because we are casual, like we say you know, so that is, but the coaching institute wants them to be focused, and we are casual, like, you do whatever. You want to go in research, you go. So she wanted to be a researcher, kind of a co-researcher, not like me, a co-researcher, like a lab researcher. So she wanted to go in ISC and all. But now the only option for her to go in ISC also is NEET exam. So, and then 12th exam is also there. So her mother would say, no, you study also for 12th, and she's, my kids are never under pressure. So the coaching institute wanted that, her IQ no one can crack. Like, she is like, if she studies, so the thing is, when we are also focused on Krishna consciousness, we teach our kids nicely through scriptures, even if not homeschooling, even otherwise. Then they will be very strong in philosophy. Like I see my son is in 10th, and I see him and other students of the same grade. And there is vast difference. Why? Because what he sees at home, what he saw in Vrindavan, what he saw in Gurukul, he sees how much his mother, we have all gone through that age, right? And I see if his mother calls Gopal, he's shaken. And being a doctor, I was in a neurology class, and the professor said, when a mother feeds her baby breastfeeding, at that time there is a connect between the baby and mother's eye. And that connect will go for the entire life. That through the eye, the son or daughter will understand what my mother wants. And these kids know how much my parents have sacrificed for us. So I see, because most of the time, it is she who takes care of the kids. So I know, because as parents, we have done so much sacrifice, from a spiritual perspective, right? They knew, because if their mother wanted, she was a pediatrician, like you have to give 2 crores to be a pediatrician now, right? So they know that the mother, the entire life of mother was to take care of them. So it is very important also. Now you think, okay, my wife should be like that. No, we have to be like that. When you are like that, you are spiritually grounded. You give your family a nice association. You yourself, don't end up working from 6 a.m. to 12 midnight. Then will you be able to encourage? It is you who will have to set that example for your family. Now, all these things are very, very, very important for your financial planning. Because until unless you get a bigger picture, you will fail in your financial planning. Financial planning cannot be independent of Krishna consciousness. It cannot be independent of your family. Your mother and kids will play a very, very big role in financial planning. So that is why, and now you are at that stage when you can plan everything from now. Not only how to save and invest money, but also how to invest in Krishna consciousness. And many of you would be, wanting to marry, and everything has to be planned very nicely. Okay. So, because from the time you are born, right, your education, whatever you do, your work, your grasta life. Money plays an important role, right? But when we are Krishna conscious, like my mother, like we had a marriage anniversary just a week back, and my mother, you know, even knowing, like, first is she was shocked when I'm planning to quit my job. She commented like the way many of the you people want to become brahmacharis, and they will comment, "You're mad or what?" My mother also said like, "You're mad? Who? Yeah, have you seen anyone getting so much salary leaving the job?" So and what I was saying, my marriage anniversary passed just a week back. So she would just check what did you give to her, you know. So it's always safe to keep away from your relatives if you're not Krishna conscious. I'm in Bangalore and I go to Vrindavan. My home is close by, to Vrindavan. Just 55 kilometers from my home in Vrindavan to my home, my parental home. But I don't go to my parental home. If I go, in the evening and my flight is in the morning. Just so that I go there and they don't feel. And they know that, and I call them, why don't you come to Vrindavan? I have a room there, all can stay and they will not come. So, you are always safe that way. That you come to Bangalore. Because if they come to your place, it is your influence which rules. But if you go to their place, it is their influence which rules. So even as young preachers or even wherever, whatever you are, because relatives, they kind of influence us. Why? If you read Bhagavad Gita and all, we talk about association. Right? Now in corporate, you get association, but you are not as much influenced. But when you are relatives, that again is an association. Why you are influenced so much? It's because you are connected with them emotionally. Chaitanya Prabhu explains that in Nectar of Instruction. Is, because we are connected with them emotionally. So it is also important to safeguard ourselves. Again, Krishna consciousness will help you. Why? Because when you are around common people, the aim of their life is money. So one more example, like I have another medical friend who is like a distant relative, not a blood relative, but because his house was near, they were neighbors of my maternal uncle, and we both studied together in the medical college, so everyone knew that they're cousins, right? So, and because it's what Geeta Jayanti, I sent him a message, why don't you donate some money? So he called me, and then he will chat what's going on and all. So when you talk to our friends also, you will see that their entire life is money. पैसा है, पैसे से सब कुछ हो जाएगा. That is their thing. So we have to be careful when we are associating with people around, because they will, for them it's money, right? And money is, it's not that it is not important, but it is not the most important. So now coming to the planning part, right? So we have to set smart goals for us. In corporate, some of you who may be managers, you may know that we set smart goals in corporate, right? Something which is very specific, you can measure, right? Specific means that you have to be specific what your goal is. You have to define it nicely. Measurable means book distribution. So we always have a target given to us. So you can measure your performance against the target. Right? That is the whole intention. Otherwise, you are not, you can, your motivation will not be driven. Then attainable. It should not be that it is not achievable. You should set a goal. If someone, your book distribution capacity is 100, and someone puts a target of 2000 to you, then छोड़ दो इसको, ये हो गया. So financial planning also, you should set achievable targets, realistic. That is relevant to you. Now, relevance in a sense that the whole family thing comes and it plays a big role. That, you know, you cannot be financially independent of your family. Each and every member plays a role. Right? Why? Because, and your wife certainly will play a big role. Right? That is very important because, and that is why some of you may decide not to marry, which is not bad idea. Yeah. So, because, you will not be independent of your family for sure. And if you are independent, then your grasta life will not be good, and it will impact your spiritual life. So that is very important. Just 2 days back, I was sitting with someone, who was kind of in a confusion of should I marry or should I be a bachelor. And I said, like, if you have problem in controlling senses and mind, then saying when you are grasta, it will be 10 times more. Right? So, and I told him that 80% of grastas, if you ask 80% of the grastas, might not have read a single Prabhupada book in last 1 month because they are so busy. And more than 90% of grastas would not be able to chant their 16 rounds in the morning. And we all know the quality of our rounds goes down substantially when we don't complete them in the morning, right? So, yes, and that is, very important for all of us to understand that when we are entering in a Grasta ashram, we should be entering in a rock solid ground, and I think so that was the whole aim why our institution is setting up places like this for bodies and other things, right? So that it helps you to prepare better, right? But when you are entering in the Grasta ashram, it is not just you. Your wife will also play an equal role. In Vrindavan, I was sitting with Deepbandhu Prabhu and 2 or 3 of Prabhupada disciples. Because I'm a medical doctor, I was just there for something. And they asked me, what's your wife, what does she do? I said, she's just a housewife. That time she was not working. So they said, it's not just a housewife. So I was very casual, right? Just a housewife. So they all were unanimous in that. She's not just a housewife. Housewife is also very important responsibility. So why I'm highlighting that is so that you also respect your wife. You cannot, if you are entering a Grasta ashram, you cannot be taking independent decisions. So my whole planning, she is 100% part of it. My kids also know what I'm planning to do, right? So everyone knows. So it should be relevant, right? And then time-based. Now what devotee, Vishwarup Prabhu of Ahmedabad. So I had lived in Ahmedabad also. So you might have seen one Saffron devotee who always is on wheelchair. So that devotee is Vishwarup Prabhu. So he guides me, sometimes. So he was in Vrindavan, so I sat with him and I told him that Guru Maharaj told that I should take full-time services. So that's very good, that's very important. So I told him that I'm planning this way. So he just told me one thing. That Srikant Prabhu, all this planning is good. But until and unless you set a well-defined time, that you will not go beyond that, whatever may happen. Because this financial figure will keep on changing. And that will happen. Why? Because, in my profession, so will be for all of you. You fly to other countries. Right? You meet your friends, you meet your corporate friends, you meet your relatives, and you see that someone is studying, MIT, someone is Stanford, someone is there. And then and not my son, why not my daughter? She is also smart, she is also intelligent, she should also get opportunity. He should also get opportunity. You know. Okay, if not basic graduation, then post graduation or PhD or something. So, because we are always around people, who think that this body is everything, right? And to pamper this body is the goal of life, right? So until and unless you are deep into Krishna consciousness, all those things will drive you crazy and you will end up changing your targets. Okay, instead of him or her doing BSc, MSc, yeah, he'll do, but why not from Singapore? Not US, but Singapore. Okay, yeah, so that's a good idea. Then you will discuss with your wife, and wife will also get them. So, the devotee told me that you should have a time based, right? And I know that this March 23, I've been looking for many years. And, and when you are firm, because even now when I'm planning, many of my friends, many devotees told me, okay, so why don't you take sabbatical? Don't resign. Because a sabbatical is something which is midway, it will help you. It will help you see that 1 year, right? So you will keep getting ideas and suggestions. I'm not saying that they are always wrong. It may depend on person to person. But you will always get suggestions of changing your target goals. The problem with sabbatical with me was that, then I will not get my gratuity and PF immediately, and then, my whole plan will suffer. So, and I had to resign on 2nd of January, which happened to be Vaikuntha Ekadashi somehow. So, and I told my boss, who is based in UK, but somehow, she looks like an Indian. So I asked her in my first call, like she recently became my manager. So I asked, is your family, like she was born and brought up there, that I can understand. But I asked, like, is your family from India? And she said, no, not from India. My family is from Pakistan. I said, where in Pakistan? So I kind of connected with her, and I wanted to take leave because I went on government retreat. So I said, like, and generally, you have to really convince your boss that I'm not going to check my emails. So I said, like, I'll be going to a retreat, and I'll prefer not to check my emails there. But if there's something very urgent or something important, you can always call me or reach out to Teams and then I'll see. So I gave her a hint that I'm into spirituality, because corporate people will not understand spirituality. The advantage is, more than Indians, the Westerners respect your personal life. More than Indians, the Westerners respect your personal life. So I was in Taiwan. As a manager, I have to travel. So I was with my team and I said, like, and generally in corporate what happens, they will take you out for lunch, they'll take you out for dinner and all that. So I told them that, I don't eat outside. Right? So what I can do is I can sit with you and take fruits and I can take juice. So they were good. And they were, it's not that they felt bad. They commented that we respect you more now. And, I have meals with CEOs and also everyone. So you should never hesitate to stick to your Krishna conscious principles. You can order maximum, fruit platter. But even fruit platter, you cut fruits are always cut with something. You never know what they're used for. So, sometimes we'll take dry fruits and all. So the important thing is that your Krishna conscious principles should be very, very grounded. Because that is what is going to drive your financial independence. Okay? So now SMART is simple living and high thinking formula. Okay? If you are not that, why? Recently I was hearing some class of recently initiated Maharaj and Bhagwan Keshav Swami Maharaj. If I'm not wrong, was he? And who said he met a Gujarati and he wanted to collect some donation. So that Gujarati fellow said, yeah, I have a lot of money, but I cannot give you donation. And then he said, do you want to learn, how to be rich? And Maharaj said, yes, why not? And why do you want your mom? No, I'll use the money for Krishna. So the most important principle he said was, okay, don't spend money. Maharaj was like, he's saying, I will not donate. But that is again an important principle. So it's not important how much salary you are earning. The important thing is how much you are spending. I know, so my dear devotees, I know there are people who are less than me and they have cars 10 times more expensive than my car. Why? Because in material world, Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita says that, how much do you need to earn? Enough to live. But others are earning for what? To show off society. Because for them, they are this body, whatever they are wearing, because, they're not earning to realize the self. Their end goal is not self-realization or God-realization. Their end goal is how much the society will respect me. And in this material world, the respect comes by money. So, this formula of simple living and high thinking is very important. Each and every money you spend is very important. Anyone like that Gujarati, even when you are donating, if you end up in Grahastha ashram, you have to have a targeted donation. You cannot even have a frivolous donations. Because you will see for yourself. I have been connected with Krishna conscious for around 25 years now. And you will see that every temple you go, you realize that they need money. And I am a Grahastha. And a Grahastha should support the temple. So even for donation, you should have a target for, this is my amount which I will donate. Why? Why not just donate? It's because when my Maharaj asked me, Gaur, can you take full time? So I told to a similar audience. And one of the Matajis asked me, why do you want to be full time? Better give your money to Krishna. Better give your money to Krishna. But my Maharaj, he never asked me how much money I am earning. My Maharaj never asked me how much money I am earning. And we know that ISKCON needs money. But he told me that, can you take full time? Why? Because it's important for us. Yes, we should, if you are lucky to get personal instruction from your Guru Maharaj, it is good, but you consult. In the age where you all are, your spiritual master can ask you to donate a fixed amount to a particular temple. You should do that, right? That is instruction over and above everything. You are a spiritual master, right? And accordingly, you can set that target, that this is the amount I'm going to donate. Right? And as per your job, you may have to travel. So my another formula of donation is, That if someone expects that this person, these people, who ask donations, they're very smart. So they know, they will somehow ask you where do you work, which position you are in. They may even ask you what salary you earn. Right? So, and then they will tell you that this is where we need money and this is. So if someone, if I have done my targeted donation, right, and this is I'm talking about other than that. So if someone is expecting that I should give 1 lakh donation, I may give 2,000 rupees. Next time that person is not going to ask. Not that I didn't give anything, I gave donation, right? I've been respectful to myself because this is your individual spiritual life. Your institution needs you more than your money. And if you end up spending money now and not saving, this 1 rupee of today will become a huge sum 25 years from now. This 1 rupee today will be a huge sum 25 years from now. So when I'm talking about extremes of donation, so please understand how much you should focus on small things, like your shoe, like your shirt. Everything matters. And I tell you that even in corporate life, it does not matter actually how much costly things you wear, but what is the content inside. And how Krishna helps is, for last 10 years, in my job, so you must understand my job is like, it is like a demanding job. I had in just 6 months back, I had 53 project directors and project managers reporting into me, right? Uh, from across the globe. The projects from APAC also run in US and Europe. So the PMs, they are also functionally reported. So, how much time do you think I should be spending on my job? On an average, last 10 years, 3 hours. On an average, last 10 years, 3 hours. Why? Because Krishna promised that he will help, he does help. I see that his hand in every part of my life. And my salary is also huge, according to his standards. So, it is very important for us if we are focused, when we are working, you work nicely, right? I did everything during my tenure, of corporate life. And this will only make you strong as a person. Spiritual life is only going to make. Only thing is, you should not hesitate being a devotee. Being a devotee helps you a lot immensely. Not only your meditation, your concentration, but also values. You will not be swayed by anything. Even if you have a company given iPhone, this is a company given. और मेरी वो है 5,000 फोन वाली ऐसे ही जाएगा so you should always remain grounded from that aspect. You have to be very, very simple. That simplicity will only come when you are deep into spirituality. Earning versus expenses I have already told you. Don't spend any extra rupee if you can invest that. Okay? Family consensus has to be there, nothing will be achievable. Right? So define clear steps. So we will now define clear steps, in a sense that we will have to define milestones. So in project, right, we work on milestone, right? So your company is going to ask in your forecasting, projections, timelines and invoicing and everything, both financial and operational milestones. Similarly, we will define clear milestones in our life. So they may change here and there, but they help us. And deadline, like March 43 is my deadline, so should it be for you, but the deadline cannot be hypothetical. That deadline will be based on financial planning. The, the, the point what I'm saying is that deadline should not change. See, whatever you will see the financial planning we do, it is uh, it is based on the calculations, your earnings, your expenses. So once you have done it, stick to it. Is what I'm saying about deadline. Then don't keep on changing. If you, now many of you would get married, so you if you know it's your money which will go marry, then think that only I'm going to spend this much only. And then you have to convince a number of people whatever you have to do. Sometimes Krishna can give you bonuses. So we also get bonuses and all. So that is extra thing which comes in. Yeah, so now the slides are over. So now are you able to see that? So it's not coming. Excel is there?
Yes, no,
It's
it's
not.
not there.
Why is it not coming? Someone can see the. I want to share this Excel sheet with you. Or it was just the PowerPoint.
1 second.
This one. Just leave it like that. Okay, it's coming. So that was the whole background, and which is why I requested Karthikeya Prabhu to let them first have the breakfast. Because this discussion I don't want to rush. It's something important for you to understand. Something in Krishna consciousness cannot be time bound. In this presentation, I see it's important for you to understand also. So now that was understanding. Please, you just tell me when you can see it.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
And all of you can see from this direction too, or you can squeeze it if you want to. Okay. So this is general information. So you have to put the date when you are doing this financial plan, because this is very important. This is very important because if you think because your financial planning will be, so every currency has a present value and a future value. So for example, 1 lakh rupee of today, will it be same 1 lakh rupee which were 20 years back?
No.
That was huge at that time, right? For example, like my school fee was 22,000 rupees then, right? In late 80s and early 90s. But now the same fee is around about 10, 12 lakh, right? So it has changed. And why does it change? Inflation, right? Inflation means the one apple which was costing 50 paisa then is now 10 rupees. So that the value of money is depreciating, right? So things are becoming, little more expensive. Or it is, generally everything is becoming expensive. So the same 1 lakh rupee will not be same 20 years from now. So when we are planning today, it is present value, which I have mentioned here. You can see, okay. So PV, right? This is present value and this is future value. Okay. So we will calculate the future value. Now, if you are seeing the sheet maybe in 2025, and then you think कि नहीं आज के हिसाब से इतना होना चाहिए, then things will change. The entire sheet changes. The sheet was as per 22, present value of 22, not present value of 25. So that is very important. Right? So because your estimation, some things you will have to estimate. For example, I started this calculation maybe in 17, right? So and I thought that I had to plan that how much will be the college fee for my children. How much will I pay maximum? Because that is where you will have to be very strong for yourself. Because the college fee, so yesterday, the day before when I was talking to my friend, medical friend, I told you, सुमित 25 लाख देने का है साल में अगर नहीं हुआ तो नीट में देने का ही नहीं. That is like capitation you have to pay now. Private colleges, medical private colleges, they take 25 lakh per year, right? And you become a medical doctor. So, and you will have many friends and relatives like this because they will know your salary. You cannot escape your mother knowing, your father knowing, or your brothers. So they know and they say, hey, क्या है? तुम डॉक्टर बन के बच्चे को नहीं बनाओगे? So so you have to define yourself how much maximum you will pay for your children. So 5 lakh target. So according to that, maybe some amount here and there, but just a target. That is why present value is important. आज के हिसाब से मेरे बेटी अभी पैदा भी नहीं हुई है, लेकिन हाइपोथेटिकली अगर 2 बच्चे होंगे तो यू विल हैव टू डू दैट. अगर आप मैरिज करने की सोच रहे हैं, ये सब बवाल है मैरिज के साथ आता है. तो 2 बच्चे के साथ मेरा 25 साल बाद ये सब होगा. उनके छोटे छोटे बच्चे उनका भी प्लान करते हैं, तो ऐसे भी अपन ये दैट्स गुड. तो अपन वो प्लान करेंगे. तो आज के हिसाब से कितना होगा? And there is also something, so this is general inflation. And one thing is known as lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation का क्या मतलब होता है कि पहले 10 साल पहले मेरे ख्याल से ढकेल वालों पर रिक्शे वालों पर फोन नहीं होते थे, है ना? हम लोगों पर नहीं होते थे. When we were your age, we never had phone, even though we were outside India or somewhere, and life was different. So this is known as lifestyle inflation. So iPhone 14 now. Huh? So and that will that the whole thing will change. So in addition to general inflation, we add lifestyle inflation also. So every 5 years we will add a lifestyle inflation of 10%, because the time will demand you to have something which was not an expense 10 years back. So we'll also add that. Okay. So this is how you have to put your current age here, and retirement age should be fixed written here, which once fixed preferably should not be changed. So your daughter's current age, right? You have to put that, and completion of schooling. So when they will be because generally so here in Bangalore again schooling also plays a role, like which school you want to, because sometimes we see school, like for my school where I study, they are charging more than any college will charge to. So which school you study also is important, or your children study in, right? And I tell you, my friends, I told you that your basic qualification is important, but don't be too much carried away by that. I told you I'm a leader, I have CCVs, even a normal BSc, MSc, B Pharm, M Pharm, because I'm in medical fields, right? So I biology most of my days, or MBBS, or even if they're MD or whatever. It's not just that which defines your end salary, because salary is what we plan for. कि नहीं अच्छी तरह पढ़ना है ना, मेरे को अभी नहीं उसमें गया तो मेरा कुछ नहीं होगा, and we get depressed. But don't worry. See, and that is why, and I intentionally share these things with my wife. She's not in corporate world, but I share these things with her and I show her, so she also understands that your basic education is not. And for her also, like she's a pediatrician, so her salary, even though she's so qualified, may not be as high as others, and she sees. And there was one person who seemingly was not as intelligent, not as qualified. वो चीटिंग करके पास BCom किया. Cheating करके B.Com जो कर रहा है. Now he's earning 50 lakhs or something, right? So please try to understand. Don't. Why I'm giving this is for you not to carry it away. कि नहीं यार ये तो कुछ काम करना है सर. So don't think too much. Okay? When you have fixed something, you know, stuck to it. इतना नहीं कि उस स्कूल में पढ़ेगा तभी मेरा बच्चा कुछ बनेगा. ऐसा मत सोचिए. That is why I'm sharing you all these examples, you know. And for myself, like my medical education is from Russia, and Russian doctors are not considered, you know, very intelligent, of course. So, but I end up earning a very good salary, right? So your qualification is not something which is always meant to. And I know, I kind of in Krishna consciousness also. I came in touch with many IIT, ex-IIT students who are now in corporate life or even otherwise. And not all of them are street smart. So once what has happened is this boy who stayed, he is a devotee who stayed nearby. So he called me, Prabhuji, मेरे पास एक call आया, and I gave the money. It's fraud calls. अब रो रहे हो, पुलिस थाने के चक्कर आ रहे हो. And even otherwise, so you know, sometimes we think कि वो उधर से पढ़ा इसलिए वो, ऐसा कुछ नहीं. आप अगर साधारण कॉलेज से भी पढ़े हो, उससे पढ़े हो, you know, if you know, if it does not define things for you. That is what I'm saying. So, मतलब अपनी जेब से पैसा इसलिए don't spend too much on anything. You know, when you have planned something, stick to it. Independent वो कब हो जाएगा? In financial terms. Job हो जाएगा marriage के बाद, you know. So in financial term वो independent हो जाएगा. तो वो लिखा है यहाँ पर कि किस year में किस month में they will not be dependent on me for their finances. Once you start earning, you don't take money from your parents. So now in India, what are the two most important things for your children? Education and marriage. तो उसमें जितना कम पैसा खर्च करोगे बाद में फायदा होगा. ठीक है. तो वो चीज ध्यान रखना. मैं आपको इसलिए बार-बार बता रहा हूँ चीजें. मैरिज भी करनी है ना डिवोटीज को. So I've seen in Vrindavan, it was simple marriage. Even now we saw the Krishna Prabhu's marriage. Devotees को पैसा ज़्यादा नहीं खर्च करना. जितना पैसा कम खर्च करोगे उतना ही जल्दी फाइनेंशियली इंडिपेंडेंट होगे. मेरे को because I'm from a business family, you know, I always had my relatives business. So they always told me from my childhood कि आपका वही पैसा है जो आपके बैंक अकाउंट में है, बाकी कोई पैसा नहीं. जो बैंक अकाउंट में पैसा है वही है, मतलब योर इन्वेस्टेड अमाउंट. कार हो गई तो वो आपका पैसा नहीं है. कार depreciates, right? So that is very important. Don't spend any money without thinking I should be spending that or not. ऐसी मैरिज वगैरह में जितना उसको, you know, to devotee's life is not life of showing off. That is, you know, अगर रिलेटिव्स वगैरह पीछे पड़ते हैं उनको थोड़ा घुमा के कैसे भी भगवान से प्रार्थना करो, कन्विंस करो कि मैं ये पैसा उसको दूंगा, ये करूँगा. वो घुमा फिरा के कैसे समझा दो, कैसे भी भगवान से प्रार्थना करो. रिलेटिव्स को थोड़ा सा, you know, because you know they will drive you crazy because their life they cannot understand. You know, they cannot understand. It's sometimes difficult, right? So, but you cannot be disrespectful. तो इसलिए उनको घुमा दो कैसे भी कि you know बैठा रहेगा कि उसको इतना सोना दे दूंगा ना मैं कुछ दे दूंगा, ऐसी थोड़ी बतानी. उनको ऐसे you have to, and you have to define, you know, this marriage you can never predict when. So as devotees, our plan is as soon as possible, you know. Later you have seen the anxiety generally grows for both boys and girls. So, yeah. So it is, Prabhupada would always say कि लड़की की भी जल्दी कर दो, लड़के की भी, लड़के लड़की की जल्दी हुई लड़की की अपने so this is क्या कह रहे हैं
देश के लड़के 40 पार करने वाले
वो ब्रह्मचारी वाली तो अभी वो मैं प्रेजेंट वैल्यू फ्यूचर वैल्यू बता रहा था तो उसका एक फॉर्मूला होता है ऑल ऑफ यू आर इंजीनियर्स so for you it will be easy so these formulas are there देखते फॉर्मूला है इसमें फ्यूचर वैल्यू तो ये एक्सेल में अपने आप ही अगर आप इसको डालोगे ना मैं तो भूल जाता हूँ आई डोंट यूज देम टू ऑफन तो ये डालोगे तो अपने आप ही फॉर्मूला दे देता है ना इसको बता अब ये पूछेगा आपसे क्या क्या चीज़ तो इसको गूगल कर लेना बाद में अगर आपको नहीं समझ में आए तो हम फ्यूचर वैल्यू कैसे कैलकुलेट करते हैं ये क्या है रेट ये नहीं समझ में गूगल कर लेना लेकिन ये शीट में आपको शेयर कर दूंगा अभी फ्यूचर वैल्यू कोई क्वेश्चन फ्यूचर वैल्यू 1 year from now 5 years from now 10 years from now and 20 years from now right so this 1 lakh as of today will be 3 lakh 20,000 20 years from now. Now, have you heard that story which defines the power of compounding? Sunai.
So basically there was a king who was very fond of playing chess. So once a farmer or let's say a merchant came, so king asked, what do you want? He just want, I just want a small grain. So he asked how much grain you want. So he told a calculation. He told, okay, so there are 64 pieces in a like square boxes in a chess. So he said, you put 1 grain in the first box and you double it for every square. Okay. So when you do that calculation, so that much. So if you do the, he just said only this much. So king thought it will be very small amount. So when they start calculating 2 to the power 2, then 2 to the power 3, it went up to 2 to the power 64. 2 to the power 64 is such a huge amount. His entire kingdom was not able to maintain so much grain. So that's the power of compounding.
So power of compounding is very important for all of you to understand. And that is why every 1 rupee of today will be very important 50 years from now. That is why I said you have to think before you spend 1 rupee. Okay. Then comes the important thing, expenses. So ये मेरी personal sheet में से मैंने pull up किए हैं, right? So बच्चों की education का, if you are living in a rental property, extracurricular activity, कृष्ण मौर्य प्रभु इसका books लेते हैं. Now you are able to see. So education, मतलब बच्चों की स्कूल का फीस. This is not called college. This is just till they are in school. Then extracurricular activities for kids, like if they want to, learn some musical instrument or art and anything. अभी आप renounce लोगे क्योंकि हमने तो कभी नहीं किया बच्चे, लेकिन होता है. हाँ, अभी practical चीजें बता रहा हूँ. And as devotees, we want our kids to learn these musical instruments, and it helps, it helps them be creative. So your kitchen expenses, petrol, phone, clothes, every small thing. अरे वो तो 2 साल में एक बार, 2 साल में एक बार 1 लाख रुपए कुछ हो गया तो पूरा आपका stats it will disturb. So everything for yourselves is important that you put down that. Right? Then yatra, gifts to your relatives, to devotees, to domestic help. Domestic help का base devotees क्या ही लिख दिया प्रभु. लेकिन you become grasta and you may need more.
डोमेस्टिक हेल्प
काम वाली
अच्छा
सफाई करने के लिए या बर्तन के लिए ये सब चीज़ों की. Donation, see that limit is also there. This is what I said. You should have a fixed limit, otherwise you will be carried away. That is my suggestion. You should put that. Insurance. Acha, this is an important thing. You should all have your term insurance. Now, what will be the amount of term insurance? It will be the amount, the same amount which will make you financially independent at that time. तो अगर आपका अमाउंट 10 करोड़ रुपए आता है, मेरे को 10 करोड़ रुपए चाहिए फाइनेंशियली इंडिपेंडेंट बनने के लिए, 10 करोड़ रुपए, तो 22 है आप लोग, अगर इफ यू प्लान लाइक 45, right? If your this whole after doing this calculation, if your amount comes at 10 crores, so your term insurance amount should be 10 crores. टर्म इंश्योरेंस क्या होता है कि अगर आप ये शरीर पहले छोड़ देते हो, तो जो लोग आपके ऊपर ये फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग है क्यों कर रहे हैं? कोई हमारे ऊपर डिपेंडेंट है ना? सभी करते हैं। या तो अगर आप ये ज्वाइन करना चाहते हो टेम्पल, तो आप शायद अपने पेरेंट्स वगैरह के प्लानिंग कर रहे होंगे कुछ, या फिर अगर आप गृहस्थ आश्रम में जाते हो तो अपनी फैमिली, तो वो डिपेंडेंट्स को तो ये पैसा चाहिए ना, तो वो तब आप ये शरीर छोड़ दोगे तो पैसा उनको मिल जाएगा। तो उसको कहते हैं टर्म इंश्योरेंस। वो सब डिवोटीज के पास होना चाहिए। एंड टर्म इंश्योरेंस शुड नॉट बी लिंक्ड टू इन्वेस्टमेंट। टर्म इंश्योरेंस शुड नॉट बी इन्वेस्टमेंट लिंक्ड, नो, इट शुड बी प्योर इंडिपेंडेंट टर्म इंश्योरेंस। उसको आपको सब कन्विंस करेंगे, अरे ये पैसा आप डाल रहे हो 35,000 रुपये, 50,000 रुपये इस साल का वेस्ट हो जाएगा, वो आपको सब मूर्ख बना रहे हैं। मेरे पास बैंक वाले आते हैं और वो तब लौट के जाते हैं, रियलाइज करते हैं उनके कलीग ने उनको चीट कर दिया, क्योंकि वो कभी सोचते नहीं एक्सेल शीट खोल के। मेरे पास आए थे पूरे बैंक वाले आगे आगरा से गए थे, मैंने उनको एक्सेल शीट में कैलकुलेशन करके दिखा दिया, ये तुम बिल्कुल बकवास कर रहे हो, मैं अगर यही 7% के ब्याज से करूंगा 20 साल बाद मेरे पास ज्यादा पैसे हो गए तो तुम मेरे को बता, ठीक है ना? तो उनके चक्कर में मत पड़ना, वो बताऊंगा पूरा। टर्म इंश्योरेंस मीन्स प्योर टर्म इंश्योरेंस। आई एम reiterating this so that you don't get carried away. Okay, so you should have one pure term insurance. You should have your health insurance also, right? Now health insurance, because you are working in corporate, you may have your own health insurances in company. It is also advisable, you have your independent health insurance, because once you take financial independence, your health insurance, this will sustain you thereafter. And today, if you take that health insurance, like the amount, what you get installment, very less. तो 20 साल बाद खरीदोगे तो उसका इंस्टॉलमेंट बहुत ज़्यादा आता है, तो कुछ अमाउंट की अभी खरीद लेना, उसको टॉप अप बाद में भली करवा लेना। एंड बाकी इफ योर व्हीकल उनका सबका तो होता है आपके पास, सो दिस मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट इज दिस टर्म इंश्योरेंस। Pardon?
Generally we say accident insurance should also be there, like get permanently disabled due to some.
वो हेल्थ में आ जाएगा।
That doesn't cover it.
Is it?
Health में for your.
अच्छा, या तो टर्म में हो सकता है या इसमें।
For treatment they will cover, but health accident insurance that you are completely disabled, then company will pay you.
Yeah. So this you should cover in term insurance. Just check. वो permanent disability का term में एक clause डलवा देना। Well, that is very important. परमानेंट डिसेबिलिटी के समय, क्योंकि उस समय आप होगे तो सही, शरीर तो नहीं छोड़ोगे, लेकिन शरीर किसी काम का नहीं रहेगा। सो दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट। सो परमानेंट डिसेबिलिटी का नाम। और ये टर्म इंश्योरेंस केवल उन लोगों के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट होती है, अपने बच्चे की करवाने की जरूरत नहीं है। टर्म इंश्योरेंस उनका होना चाहिए those who are earning something and those who are contributing in this financial independent planning. If your wife is also earning, and her earning will contribute to this financial independence, then she should also have term insurance of the value she is contributing, the final value. ठीक है ना? क्योंकि फालतू में बहुत ज़्यादा का टर्म इंश्योरेंस नहीं करवाना चाहिए। And sometimes what happens that you may not be eligible to that term insurance amount, क्योंकि हर एक आदमी 3 करोड़ का, 5 करोड़ का, 10 करोड़ का नहीं करता। It also depends on your current salary. So then you can keep topping it up. But finally, if your salary allows, you should have of that final figure. So what's your name?
Sorry, please.
You are understanding?
I understand.
If you have any questions, you can ask.
So life insurance में like right now तो I have my parents like as a nominee.
As a nominee.
As a nominee like until I get married and so after that we can have like nominee as like we distribute the
You can distribute or make your wife as the nominee. Because it all depends again who is financially dependent on you. If parents are also financially dependent on you, then that same percentage you can make them nominee.
some percentage.
Okay. And same percentage, na? How much ever. Then
Distribute. Then
they are up.
I'll call it.
It should be on fourth floor. So
So term insurance, so they are we won't get any return.
it will
Just like a
oh, see, that is important for us because we only think in terms of return. लेकिन something we have to take this. अब वो लेक्चर में सुन लेना कि इंश्योरेंस करवाते हैं, इंश्योरेंस आपको वो नहीं देगा, बचाएगा नहीं, तो वो चक्कर में मत पड़ना, इंश्योरेंस करवा लो, जो चीज कह रहा हूँ उसको ध्यान से कर लेना. See, there's few things which you will have to do because you are entering into trust life, right? And because your parents are dependent. So this is very logical and systematic and all coming from professional and also from the spiritual sources. So we should all have our term insurance. That is not going to help us go to Golok. That will help us to sustain our spiritual life. Because what happens is sometimes our financial things also, they will impact our spiritual life. If we don't have enough money, then devotees will become distressed. So and which is why we are sitting here, right? We have to do this planning nicely so that it helps our spiritual life. Right? Term insurance, yes, the amount, which is what I said, and that is why the insurer will try to convince you. Arey, it's a bilkufi hai. You should connect it with a insurance link some plan, and you will see that up to some maths value, if you open your Excel sheet and give some calculation, the return will be less than the interest you get in the saving bank account. So please try to understand that if someone is taking FDs, some is the fixed deposit, how much interest do they give?
6 to 6.
And from where are they giving that 7%? From the pocket?
They are investing and they are getting return. That same.
They are investing and getting a return of?
Some loans are like 15% of the
Right. Because they are taking your money, investing somewhere, getting a return of 15%, 20%, and they are giving out of that 7% to you, बैठे 7-8% आते हैं. Right? So that is what happens. अगर वो टर्म इंश्योरेंस को लिंक हो जाता है ना, तो they give you 3-4%. वो खुद ज़्यादा कमाते हैं. अब आप पूछोगे तो मेरे को 3-4% तो मिल रहा है ना. अरे वो हम जो पैसा है उसको उधर जाने की we will invest in ourselves in place where we get at least 12-13-14%. So rather than increasing the installment by adding it to a link and getting an interest of 4%, we will get an interest of 12% somewhere else. So what can you do?
And probably, like, copyright is not just this. If we go for ULIPs, etc., right? What they do is they drastically reduce the term amount also. Like, right now, like if you are paying, let's say 30K on a yearly basis and you are getting a cover of, let's say 1 CR, they'll reduce it to maybe 3 lakh or 30 lakh. So that is also not viable.
Very expensive.
Yeah. So उसको सबका करने के लिए इसलिए प्योर टर्म इंश्योरेंस लेना. और सबसे मैंने देखा है सस्ता ये ऑनलाइन एक प्लेटफॉर्म है पॉलिसी बाजार है. हर समय उस पर कहीं कोई आपको कन्विंस कर रहा हो तो पॉलिसी बाजार पे जाके एक बार चेक कर लीजिए. जनरली इट हैज बीन सीन दैट I have my younger brother who is thinks about all these things. ज़्यादा जनरल जो बाहर की दुनिया में पैसों को बड़ा सोच समझता है, तो मैं पूछता हूँ उससे, तो बता दे ऐसे करके. तो you also can check. You can get pure term also through policy. You know, just check. Electricity bill. If you go to UP and Delhi, the electricity bill will count. Bangalore, the electricity bill. Miscellaneous, there will be maybe a number of miscellaneous things not covered in our overheads like car service, maintenance, many other things will be there, which you cannot put down. In general, 10% amounts miscellaneous matter. That is important. And it will be very important. आप लोग सब इससे फोन पे समय गूगल फॉर्म में क्रिएट कर लीजिए, जो भी खर्चा कर रहे हैं फटाक से उसमें डाल दो और उसको लिंक कर दो एक अपनी एक्सपेंस शीट से। ऐसा 2-3 साल करोगे तो आपको एक्सपेंसेस पता चल जाएंगे आपके। कुछ भी कर रहे हो, नारियल पानी पी रहे हो, उसको डाल दो तो आपको पता चलेगा आपका रियल एक्सपेंस क्या है, ठीक है ना? बिकॉज स्मॉल अमाउंट, seemingly small amount will play a big role, so then you will get an idea of what your expense was. तो हम लोगों का तो सरनेम गोयल है, तो हम लोगों को ये सब पता है कैसे करना है। So and this is March 25 onwards, right? ये दूसरा है क्योंकि जब आपके बच्चे फाइनेंशियली इंडिपेंडेंट हो जाएंगे, ठीक है ना, तो उसका फिर उस समय फिर एक्सपेंस कम हो जाते हैं, उस समय मेडिसिन आ जाता है मेडिसिन आएगा तो
Estimate.
किसी से पूछ लेना मतलब जनरल ये है आपके पेरेंट्स का कितना हो रहा है तो उसको प्रेजेंट वैल्यू में डाल के ऐसा करते हैं। जनरली व्हाट वी हैव सीन इज hypertension and diabetes are common thing. So you spend a number of amount these things, right? And as a doctor, it is an like bonus advice. When someone is suffering from these chronic diseases, they should take medicine only from authorized shops, where you know that they are not selling fake medicines. You can check. Donations again, insurance, and any question on expense?
Hello. So when my parents are not dependent on us, so when we are planning business, so how much to be like we can part from them that
They are not dependent on you, right?
but I
So you gift में कर लिया ना यहाँ पर, then you will give whatever as a gift to them, right? So whatever. See, this gift is a gift term, but that all depends on person to person. See, this everything is very personal. किसी की simple life होगी, उसके पास साइकिल है, लेकिन किसी की simple life होगी, उसके पास Mercedes है. This is very individual. You cannot say यार वो Mercedes में और कैसे simple है. He can afford like fleet of car, but he's just having one, which he has to maintain for people. Because we have all been born and brought up in different upbringings and different things. So, see, the whole spiritual life, one very learned devotee Vrindavan, he told me that Shri Gaur, when we read Bhagavad Gita, we generally read this, how this is applicable for him. Never read how this is applicable for me. So this, this whole thing is for me, right? So we should not, and this whole spiritual life is about me. How, then sometimes we end up wrongly being judgmental for others. So, simple like go or stop saying. Your question. Did you get?
I got it.
This debate of rent versus EMI, people say already rent is so high, so better take EMI, like that they put this debate. So according to your opinion, which is best?
What is your opinion?
There are pros and cons for both, so I feel sometimes very confusing because one thing from loan is it gives so much pressure on us also.
So, what is your name?
Krishna.
So, That's a good question. And now, for example, the house, the flat where I am living now, if I want to buy that, maybe 1.2 crores. Okay? And the rent I am paying is maybe 24,000. Okay? So, uh, let's count कि रिटर्न कितना मिलता है इंटरेस्ट किसी पैसे पर 10%. ठीक है. So fixed deposit में 6-7% and equity में maybe 12-14%, average 10%. So 1.2 का monthly return कितना हो गया 10% के हिसाब से 12 lakh पर 1 lakh पर month हो गया ना. तो अगर वो मैं प्रॉपर्टी खरीदता तो आई वुड हैव गॉन प्रॉपर्टी खरीदूंगा तो आई वुड सेव माई रेंट विच इज 25,000. बट हाउ मच एम आई इन्वेस्टिंग एक्चुअली 1 lakh रुपीज. नाउ देयर इज वन मोर थिंग विच इज प्रॉपर्टी वैल्यू विल ऑल्सो इंक्रीज, राइट. तो उसका वो अपन को कैलकुलेशन करना होगा. इट डिपेंड्स ऑन सिटी ऑल्सो. Generally, the financial advisors will advise better to live on rental property. Financial advisors they advise to live on rental property. अगर अब ये personal advice है, so there was a land which I bought in Vrindavan in maybe 2014 for 35 lakhs. Now, and we were thinking, वहाँ पर कोई वैल्यू नहीं बढ़ती है. Now I just recently went to Vrindavan and it is around 85 lakhs, right? So I'm telling you about Vrindavan, but Vrindavan में investment की मत सोचिए. When you enter Vrindavan, the devotees say that we should not enter Vrindavan to do business here. Okay? So I'm just telling you to give my own personal example. So I have seen, and this is my personal right, कुछ मकान या फ्लैट के लिए कोई जमीन खरीदोगे तो उसमें ज़्यादा रिटर्न आता है तभी भी. Okay, but then you will have to calculate accordingly. But लेकिन क्या होता है किसी भी, see this is a finance philosophy that where there is more return there will be more risk. तो जमीन में क्या कोई कब्जा कर रही इंडिया है, जापान तो है नहीं. अभी क्या हुआ, मैं कल किसी को क्लास दे रहा था जापानीज को, मेरी कलीग है उसको मैं क्लास देता हूँ. उस समय हरीश प्रो का फोन आया. मैंने कहा 1 सेकंड रुकना, फोन आया, मैंने कहा आपको बात करूँगा क्लास में. तो पता है मेरे से क्या फोन करता पूछती कि कैन एनीवन कॉल यू जस्ट लाइक दैट. मतलब उधर जापान में कोई आपको ऐसे कॉल नहीं कर सकता विदाउट टेकिंग योर परमिशन. मैंने कहा तेरा बेटा only son and my husband can call. So otherwise ये तो इंडिया, यहाँ पर जमीन तो आप बैठे हो तो आपको हटा के उसको बैठ जाए. इसलिए मैंने वो एग्जाम्पल दिया. जापान की तो है नहीं जमीन, तो अपना इंडिया में इंडिया के कानून चलते हैं. तो जमीन में प्रॉफिट तो होता है, तो बेटर टू बाय दैट लैंड ऑल्सो. सी इन एग्रीकल्चर लैंड देयर इज मोर रिटर्न. My father had many. And I see like there were always some of the other problems. तो अपना कुछ भी चीज़ अपने को करना है कि हम कैसे कृष्ण कॉन्शियस रह सकते हैं, बवाल कम से कम रहे जीवन में, वो कैसे शांति से हम भजन कर सकते हैं, शांति से शरीर को छोड़. ठीक है ना. तो उसके हिसाब से आपको जो भी इजी लगता है, जो भी ऐसा लगता है कि मोर प्रोडक्टिव. जमीन भी खरीदनी है तो एक किसी सरकारी कॉलोनी में ऐसे करके इसमें लफड़ा नहीं है कुछ, उसमें खरीदिए. Because this is a general philosophy, higher the return, higher the risk. और कुछ भी आप लोग तो सब कंपनी में काम करते हैं, is there any businessman here? No. So all our money is white money, right? So you can buy everything white. So ऊपर क्या होता है काम? White में खरीदना. अभी मोदी सरकार है, मोदी जी हर चीज तब तक जाएंगे सब वाइट में. अभी तो नारियल पानी भी वाइट में मिल रहा है, सोचा था नारियल पानी में QR कोड होगा। I'm thinking so, any other question?
One more question on term insurance. So it covers us up to the age of 60 or 65 lakh.
टर्म इंश्योरेंस आप देखो क्या होता है, अभी मेरा है जैसे, अभी मेरा कोई टर्म इंश्योरेंस नहीं है, मेरा था, लेकिन मैंने जैसे देखा कि मेरा जो फाइनेंशियल टारगेट था वो मीट हो रहा है, तो मैंने उसको बंद कर दिया। समझ रहे ना? तो आप वो लोगे 90 ईयर्स तक, नहीं आप वो सॉरी आप वो टर्म इंश्योरेंस, यू विल टेक अ टर्म इंश्योरेंस until the age you're planning to be financially independent. समझ रहे हो? आप फाइनेंशियल प्लान करिए, आपने फाइनेंशियल, आप लोगों ने फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग करी, and according to financial planning you are getting independent in 2045. So you will take term insurance maybe 5 years more than that. अभी क्योंकि अभी तो मैं कितना भी कह रहा हूँ बार बार की डेडलाइन रखो, टाइमलाइन रखो, लेकिन चेंज हो जाती है। 5 साल का बफर लेके चलो तो आपको 90 साल तक की वैसे भी नहीं चाहिए एज ए डिवोटी, लेकिन मिलती है मेरे ख्याल से टर्म इंश्योरेंस तो पूरे एज की मिलती है। समझ गए? टर्म इंश्योरेंस में पैसा, मैं आपको एक बार चीज और बता देता हूँ सबको, फिर आप पूछ लेना। टर्म इंश्योरेंस में वी हैव टू give the installment and keep the term insurance until we meet the financial independent target. उसके बाद उसको बंद कर देना। You don't have to keep paying. और आपको लगता है कि करनी है तो कर भी सकते हो। I have stopped that. Because now I have the money to leave, sorry, I don't need. Yeah.
So if one has to pay a fixed amount of money, like over the number of
Fixed ही होता है उसमें।
sorry,
Fixed, that will be fixed.
and if one that pays earlier, then also you can stop paying.
Oh, if you pay the amount earlier, that monthly अगर वो कहते हैं कि 5 साल का एक बार में पे कर दो,
हाँ, मतलब I'm asking my
तो मैं बता देता हूँ उसमें क्या होता है। वो 5 साल वो कहेंगे कि अभी आपका ये है वो है, तो वो आपको जो एक साथ ले रहे हैं ना पैसा एक बार में, वो आपको 6-7% के ब्याज को लगा के ले रहे हैं, और आप कहीं और 12-13% का, तो वो भी करने की जरूरत नहीं। And what happens is pay yearly, क्योंकि कल को हमारा क्या हुआ पता नहीं, कभी शरीर छोड़ दिया तो दूसरे का पहला पहले दे दिया है ना। और फिर क्या होता है उसमें, और क्या होता है कि कोई अच्छी टर्म इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी आ गई हो मार्केट में, तो उसको ले लेंगे। समझ रहे हैं ना? तो एक कंपनी की थी, उसी कंपनी की और कोई पॉलिसी आ गई किसी और की आ गई, तो यू नो ईयरली पे करना चाहिए अपना, ये उससे ज़्यादा मत करो, हेल्थ का या टर्म का किसी का।
And it includes life insurance,
टर्म इंश्योरेंस मीन्स लाइफ इंश्योरेंस।
अच्छा,
टर्म इंश्योरेंस कहते हैं उसको, वो लाइफ इंश्योरेंस है, लेकिन जो लाइफ LIC है ना, वो भी टर्म इंश्योरेंस को लिंक्ड बेचती है, लेकिन वो मत करेगा। उससे कहना मेरे को प्योर चाहिए, और वो कहेगा अरे यार कौन मिल गया मेरे को ये जानकर, कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं होता उसको सेल करने में, क्योंकि उनको इतना कमीशन नहीं मिलता उसको। तो इसलिए आप जैसे उनको कम मिलते हैं। समझ में आया सबको?
what is linked thing?
लिंक मतलब वो कहेंगे यू नो यू आर इन्वेस्टिंग 30,000 पर ईयर, व्हाई डोंट यू लिंक इट कि आपको रिटर्न भी मिलेगा, ये पैसा आपको वापस मिल जाएगा। लेकिन उसमें समझाया है ना प्रभु जी ने कि उसमें आपका टर्म अमाउंट भी कम हो जाता है, और आपको जो पैसा लगा रहे हो ना उसको ब्याज जो मिलेगा, द इंटरेस्ट व्हिच यू आर अर्निंग विल बी मे बी 5-6%। इज देयर एनीवन हु डजंट अंडरस्टैंड हिंदी एट ऑल? So I'm sorry, like because speech is well. So that is not financially you know a good sort of strategy, because your term amount decreases and the interest you get on what you are investing is also less. That is why they are convincing you to take that, because they want to take money as less percentage as possible, and they will invest something else.
के बारे में मेरा मतलब 2 साल पहले ऐसा हुआ ना, 2 या 3 साल पहले एक LIC वाला आया था और मेरे पिताजी ने बच्चा मेरे लिए कर दिया, तो उसने कुछ अराउंड 8,000 वैसे पर ईयर देना होता है, तो कुछ ऐसे बोला 20 ईयर्स के बाद सम कुछ मतलब रिटर्न करेगा, ठीक है कौन सा है
तो आप आप इंजीनियर हो, तो आप खुद ही कैलकुलेट करना कि उस पर कितना इंटरेस्ट मिल रहा है आपको, ठीक है ना। और बताइएगा सब लोगों को भी, अगर कंप्यूटर कुछ हो तो आप कैलकुलेट करिए, ठीक है ना। मेरे पास तो एक शीट थी, ठीक है ना। और फिर आपका डाउन जो अमाउंट है, सो यू आर पेइंग 8,000 रुपीज एंड हाउ मच कवरेज यू हैव?
I don't know anything about that. Just my father did.
सो दैट इज वेयर यू नो, मैंने भी जब पहले किया था मेरे को कुछ नहीं पता था, तो एक लिंक भेजे थे, अभी मेरे को रियलाइज कि कचरा है।
If 15,000 if you pay the life cover will give you 18 lakhs. But in term if you pay 10,000 they will give you one CR or something.
So practically, maybe you are still primarily in base now, so you can do this exercise. And I have one sheet for loans also. If by chance you think that loan is good because you get your tax rebate on that, ये थोड़ा दिमाग लगा दो, चलो उसमें लगाओ कितना टैक्स रिबेट करता है, उसका EMI तुम्हें हम इतना ब्याज दे रहे हैं, ये सब सरकार के खेल है आपका पैसा देने, ठीक है। तो डिवोटीज को एडवाइजेबल है कि कोई लोन नहीं होना चाहिए जिंदगी में, किसी भी एज पर कोई भी लोन नहीं होना चाहिए। यू शुड नॉट हैव एनी लोन, व्हाटएवर इट मींस। क्रेडिट कार्ड भी नहीं यूज करो, no credit card, because no credit card, nothing, no loans. Okay, you never know. See, we are doing this all for improving our Krishna consciousness. That is the primary purpose. So loans, credit card, sometimes for some reason, you know, you may need, so you may keep a credit card, you know, like discount and all. Sometimes you get that, so you may keep. But see, the whole intention is that you should not take money on loan, is because you never know when you are going to leave this body, and that will be a liability on someone else. And financially also, no loan will be helpful, no interest will be helpful for you. The amount of interest you pay there, but you if you but if you think it is financially ये वो, और आपने 10 आपके पूरे सिक्योरिटी गार्ड लगा लिए और लोन लेना है, तो if you have security around that and if it's making financial sense, go ahead. But you know, we advise not to take any loans in your life. Yeah, you have one page as well. Okay.
So term insurance should be, is it advisable to take from private companies? Because
पॉलिसी बाजार में सीख लीजिए, and then you will get private हो, प्राइवेट में बंद हो जाए तो प्राइवेट में ये जो होती है, these are all government linked things, they cannot, वो बंद नहीं हो सकते, वो किसी को सेल करेंगे, और गवर्नमेंट से अगर पैसा मिल जाए तो आज तो गवर्नमेंट ही बंद हो जाए।
government will privatize it.
Yeah, and if private they will, like if you see, if some of you are investing in mutual fund, right? तो mutual fund किसी का बंद हो जाता है, तो someone else will buy that. So your mutual fund का name change हो जाएगा, but it will continue. I was from SDFC. Any other question on this part? So we move on to the next one.
So इसमें expenses में is there like any general rule की ना, like ballpark figure in terms of percentages should be fixed expenses, variable expenses, donation, savings, like 50% savings should be there. So any general rule that we should follow?
प्रैक्टिकल होना चाहिए और डूएबल होना चाहिए, वो जितना आप कर रहे हो, डोनेशंस कितना करना चाहिए, जैसे किसी डिवोटी नहीं करता बस ये we should give donation, not should be very significant. आपको अपनी चीज शेयर कर देता हूँ, डिवोटीज को नीचे मेरा डोनेशन अराउंड 5,000 पर मंथ. And it depends if you're a spiritual master, you, because I've seen that sometimes a spiritual master will request you because they like, then you should follow that advice. And accordingly you can have the influence and master when you plan all the donations together. Even you are giving dakshina to someone. See, ISKCON needs your services more than your money. Not that ISKCON doesn't need money, but they need they need you, and they need you to be Krishna conscious. That is also very important. कभी हम अपनी लाइफ में ये होते कुछ सर्विस करते रहो, that is also. तो अपन ने इसलिए सोसाइटी का नाम दिया है Krishna conscious. So we have to be conscious of what we are doing. So financial planning is very important, including donation. Okay, so any other question?
So regarding the donation part, generally it's conveyed that beginners should donate like 50% of their monthly earnings to the temple. And when in the case when you were not doing so, like what were the challenges you faced? You must have been maybe
तो मैं अपनी 50% लाइफ दे रहा हूँ. मेरी सैलरी कितनी है? मैं एक बार में एक साल में पूरा कर दूँ. If my salary is X amount, अब मेरा एक साल में फॉर एग्जाम्पल उस साल में सैलरी नहीं मिलेगी तो मैंने वो अमाउंट किसको दी? एक बार में वो नहीं मिलेगी. So that is why please try to understand Krishna and ISKCON means you. Venkulu Maharaj ने मेरी सैलरी दी. So but as a Krishna, see, if you have no plans to be financially independent to serve full time, कुछ ऐसे devotees होते हैं जो because of circumstances, see it is because of circumstances, and we should not look down upon anyone because every devotee is different. We should not be judgmental. Because of circumstances, they should give as much as possible. And under their defined guidelines. But the devotee who is planning to be financially independent and planning to serve society full time, for them we should give a token amount, something. They should be serving. That is more important. 5,000 रुपये दो एक बार में शॉर्ट में. The time you are giving for corporate, same skill set if you give for your society, how much value added will be. That is what our spiritual master need more than. मैं विद्यालय में रहता हूँ, from here, when you are there, I see the amount of donation which comes in. It's like announcement 2 lakh rupee donated by this, 5 lakh rupee donated by this, 20,000 donated by this. One day they collect जो हम जन्माष्टमी सोचते बहुत भीड़ मारती है. It comes normally. So society needs you more than your satisfaction as a devotee. If you're planning to serve full time, it is. Any other question, donation or expense? So, we go on to
Just expensive. But it's also linked with the inflation.
yeah. So that I'm next. This is present value. हमने date डाली है जनरल information है ना? So that is of that value. And then I'll tell you what do we do for this. So this amount will come in this green box, and then we'll pull this amount, and then put an inflation rate. just to tell you, let's see here, monthly expense and monthly expense inflation also, and then lifestyle expense. This all will be done later. We pull these things from here. That's it, we formalize. Or good question. This is when my children will get financial aid. उसके बाद expense will come in.
Many times, also we have write down everything, but there is always some emergency.
वो miscellaneous में इसलिए 2-3 साल का very good. If you want to talk, you can go out and talk because it disturbs others. So the question is, sometimes what happens that you never know emergency and you end up spending more. That is why it was requested for 2-3 years you try to calculate your expenses using Google Forms and that thing. And this miscellaneous is also there. So I usually keep 10% there. 10% of what is coming in miscellaneous. But 2-3 years will give you a good idea. जब तक कि कोई ऐसे ही नहीं है. And if you are having a house, घर का भी insurance करवा लेना. If you have a house, घर का insurance करवा लेना. Right? Any other question? So now comes the investment part, right? So let's say our salary, for example, is 1 lakh rupees, and our expenses are 25,000. We 75,000 हुआ, मंदिर में आया, मंदिर में कोई थे वहाँ पर डोनेशन, हमने कमिट कर दिया कि आपको 5 लाख रुपए दे देंगे. हमारे पास इतने पैसे, we have so much money. You have some question? So whatever money you are saving today, you invest on the very day. पूरा पैसा बस को इन्वेस्ट कर दिया. Because you will often receive calls कि यार मेरे को 10 लाख रुपए की जरूरत है. मैं कहता हूँ मेरे पास इतने पैसे हैं. Because you also have to be very careful कि किसको पैसे देने हैं. ऐसे फोन्स आएंगे आप लोगों के पास, किसको, फिर क्या है, आपने उसको सोचा कि you are helping the person, but later on the whole relationship will be spoiled and you will never get the money back. The whole relationship will be spoiled and you will never get the money back. This is seen in most of the cases. Not that we should not help devotees. We should help, but you have to be little careful. Even relatives and otherwise also. उससे otherwise the whole relationship goes for a toss. उतना उनको बुरा नहीं लगेगा, that you didn't give money, but the person may feel bad. And it happens. So best is, as soon as you have your salary, you know this expense, put the money in investment. Even my mother does the same. वो कहते हैं वैसे कोई बच्चा मांग लेता है, मैं कहती हूँ मैंने गोल्ड में इन्वेस्ट कर दिया. बस नहीं. So now this is the money which generally we get. These are the headers. PF is your provident fund, not the PPF but PF. Gratuity is, I think it's around 5 years when you are in the same company, you get that. And this is mutual fund and stocks where you are invested, gold, land, and rental income. Generally, I've seen that these are the things. So you calculate for yourself for how many years, what you are getting, and then you can. And then amount by date of retirement. So first you do hypothetically that, for yourself that you are still planning to work for 10 years, 15 years. And then, we have to change these things accordingly. You are able to live nicely. So this is the return which we get. What is the comment? Okay, so this comment is then other expenses is more important. क्या होता है कि now we know our fixed expense, but वो किसी रिश्तेदार की शादी है, and we know कि you know because most of you are not married. इसके बाद पता चलेगा कितने उधर के साइड के relatives को भी you have to give gifts. And marriage is one thing where sometimes you have to give substantial amount. Even though वो भाई की बेटी है, भाई का बेटा है, something of that. You have to then consider कि other expenses भी हैं. Other than what we have already talked about. तो major expense होता है marriages India में कि relatives की marriage है, किसी बच्चों की है, ये है, you have to give some amount. So keep that. अपने रियल भाई की है, बहन की है, जो भी आप अमाउंट देना चाहते हो, you keep that because we'll have to calculate that. और उनकी भी future value calculate करनी होगी. And then this is a calculation where we generally calculate कि अपना it will pull कि monthly expense कितना होगा, फिर inflation लगा के फिर ये 10% calculate करेगा. इसके आप लोग मेरे को कुछ हेल्प कर सकते हो इसके फॉर्मूले वगैरह करेक्ट करने में, so you can make it more robust. Someone who is interested can do it. Now this sheet actually then will pull ये आपका monthly expense कितना हो रहा है, you have to write, and then it will also depend on inflation, right? तो यहाँ पर आपको ये inflation यहाँ से pull करना पड़ेगा, ये वाला amount और ये भी which will be inserted here.
How did we decide 6%?
So 6% is generally what we are seeing now. So you have to also seek to take opinion would say what should we consider as India. कि अपना इकोनॉमी कहाँ जा रही है 20 years 30 years from now, and you get an idea. इसको जितना ज़्यादा लगाओगे उतना अच्छा रह सकता है.
So let me take at last 100 years. The last 100 years it was 4%, so 6% is a good. What's it? So like that they.
So someone might have told me course I have done. During COVID years it was high. Right? You can calculate on an average. And then you put everything here. Okay? Other expense, total expense, this principal amount. This principal amount is यहाँ से आ रहा है. Principal amount is coming आपका your total investment, and this is from the day of retirement. What will be the amount you should have? So this principal amount will start from what you have earned so far by the date when you retire. And this sheet will then help you कि this amount is enough or this more. तो क्या होगा? And age for financial planning is 90 years. We do generally until the age of 90 years. Okay. Someone may live for 125 also. So generally for calculation we consider 90 years. Even down we have someone who had lived for exception. And life expectancy in India is increasing. This amount comes here and it will come in negative or positive. So,
Investments which we have the total income principal amount. So we have taken interest of 12%.
okay.
Interest is very for mutual fund.
Where am I going to
PA. I mean the
calculation? Yeah. So now,
whatever is the principal amount which comes out of all these things, all these factors, PF, activities, all these things. So
okay,
we
here.
are taking 12%.
So, yeah. So what you can do, I would request you should avoid investing directly in stocks. Okay. For devotees, it is better you invest in mutual funds, and that also avoid investing directly. See, there are two things in mutual fund: direct and regular. Direct is when you can directly invest, आप उसको पढ़ोगे, and then regular is you invest through advisor. My personal advice is, it is better you consider an advisor, let them invest, and they get 1% out of it, but they are in the market, they are professionally qualified, that is their profession, they have experience. So they will be, let them manage, but you keep an eye, and which is why I am requesting you to do that course, flip flap wala. Yeah, ऐसा कोई भी course कर लेना. So it was just 50, 20, now you may find it even cheaper. Do so that you also know what is happening. Otherwise, what happens? You may think कि यार ये लोग बड़ी बड़ी बातें कर रहे थे, मैंने 1 करोड़ रुपए इन्वेस्ट किया, अभी ये 50 लाख बैठे हुए हैं. क्योंकि मार्केट डाउन हो गया, क्रैश हो गया, तो ऊपर जाएगा. And there is one very important thing, like that all this very very important thing. When we have targeted milestones, for you maybe marriage, maybe milestone is you will need money before you spend on your kids' marriage. So those are milestones where you will need a significant amount, or you're planning for some education. आप कुछ हाई डिग्री करना चाह रहे हो, कुछ भी. So that is known as a milestone where you will need significant amount. उस milestone के 3 साल पहले, 3 years before you are reaching that milestone, put that money in liquid fund. So in mutual fund also, there is in your pure equity, right, where you get 15%, 12%, 14% return, and there is debt funds also, what we also sometimes call it liquid funds. There you get enough return as good as FDs. But अभी क्या हुआ, जैसे कोरोना में मार्केट नीचे गया, तो your equity funds will all go down in proportion, but debt fund will not go down. It will go down maybe just 1%, 0.5% each over, right? So that is why to contain the volatility of the market, you have to put your future, not only milestone, but the future 3 years of expense in debt fund. Monthly expense be, if you are retired, you have to put those 3 years, next 3 years के जो funds हैं, उनको debt fund में. This is very important. For you it may not be applicable now, it might not be, but for your planning you have to do that. Total expenses being pulled from these things. Right? We have to put formulas there. So this total expense per year, monthly, the total expense here, this let's have it. So we will put a formula here. So they will pull it from this. Okay, monthly expense. This is multiplied by 12, and other expenses we pulled from here, and then we have the expense. Then this calculates all these things, all these things. This principal amount is being pulled from here, from the total amount which we got. Now gold and all, I have written gold, so I have only kept enough gold which I may need for marriages of children. बस उतना थोड़ा बहुत रखा है, ज़्यादा मतलब financial advisors say that gold is not a very good investment option in comparison to equity. Also, now you can even buy that soft gold, virtual gold. So, and land, if you have bought, because in India it is also has an emotional connect. एक घर तो होना चाहिए. If you end up buying, then yeah. I also have a house in Vrindavan. If you want, and if you have some rental income, but that house I have not considered in my financial plan. So that house is independent. I have not considered that I will ever sell that house or kuch hoga. And I have never considered that I will get anything from my parents, not even a single rupee. They have given me my education. I have not considered. That is also there. If you have a house from which you earn a rental, and so what happens is the principal amount will also earn interest for you, right? This principal amount, all of it we have put in mutual fund, debt or equity, whatever it is. So then balance is the leftover amount. कितना बचा कैसे बचा? Okay. Any other question on this?
Only one question on investment. So I just wanted to know how, like, if you are comfortable in sharing, how do you go about investing in mutual fund and stocks?
I go through advisors.
Like, probably, so let's say you picked the AMC, right? Let's say you picked the SBI or HDFC. So what kind of advice do they provide to you and how is it beneficial?
See, they will provide me advice that as per your financial planning, you invest in these funds. So they will advise me that you invest in funds, mutual funds, and then you just see what is the return, what's happening. That will include debt and also equity. In equity also they have mixed funds in large cap, small cap, mid cap and all. You can also see for yourself their progress, how have they been doing. But the history will not define the future. Is also important for us. The history of a mutual fund, because it is heavily dependent on the fund manager also.
So do you generally like frequently shift between the AMCs?
I generally don't. That is what I'm saying. My advisor, whatever he has to do, he will do. So I've seen like my one advisor would not do anything. I've seen that. Right? So it depends on their approach. And I've seen for myself that stock is not a good option. आपसे कहेंगे ये you start this what you can portfolio management होता है. You give them 50 lakh rupees to take care. I've seen ये लोग अपने आप को बहुत होशियार समझते हैं लेकिन किसी को कुछ नहीं पता है मार्केट कहाँ जाएगा और कैसे जाएगा. ठीक है. So it is with my own experience, with what even Anand Prabhu said, is that better to invest in mutual fund than stock and take an advisor. But see why? Like, I'm a medical doctor, so sometimes now in the world of Google, you can always Google क्या problem क्या medicine लेनी चाहिए. But if you approach a doctor, you will get a holistic advice. Right? So let them take call. It's not that they will always be right, but the percentage of their error will be less in comparison to our own. And why we are taking full time is not to invest time here, but to. So my take on this is that I go by what they want to do. Anyway, we are dependent on Krishna. And he takes the right age group. I've seen like मेरा फाइनेंशियल टारगेट उन्होंने पहले ही पूरा करवा दिया कोविड के आगे.
So apart from mutual fund and government projects, so you also take some kind of FD and all.
So FD and all doesn't give good profit. So even if you put in liquid fund in equity, that should give you a better return. And उसमें टैक्स वगैरह का सब कंसिडर करके these are better investment options than putting in FD. Equity is better. all savings are here.
But you said that we have invested that.
Then अच्छा आपको समझ नहीं आ रहा कि इन्वेस्ट किया है मार्केट में, तो मार्केट तो पैसा बढ़ा रहा है ना, अभी तो हमने इन्वेस्ट किया है. Market is giving us at a return of 10%, 12%, and it is a compound return, right? So, फिर we withdraw that money, some amount of earnings that is known as monthly withdrawal plans. You will withdraw some money from there. Yes. STP करके monthly withdrawal plans. And there is one thing important, like for us, Krishna has given one more insurance that we are medical doctors, like husband and wife. So we know that अगर हमें कभी भी कुछ भी प्रॉब्लम आए तो हम पेड़ के नीचे बैठेंगे तो भी हम कुछ कमा लेंगे. अपनी दाल रोटी हम आराम से निकाल सकते हैं. मैं वृंदावन. So my wife will still work for next 2 years until we relocate back to Vrindavan. It's because her job is very, very cool. So she specifically chose a job which is not a corporate job. So Rajkot hospitals, these are corporate women. So she serves, in a charitable, which is very cool. No pressure, no kind of, So she will work for next 2 years also until we relocate back.
One more thing. So, like, most of our money is in market, and we are assuming. I consider this as very optimistic assumption that we are going to get 12% returns. But like there have been times, for example, if you consider from 2000 to 2005 and so, the market was almost consistent, like 0% return from 2000 to 2005. In those cases of scenarios, like the money is just getting withdrawn, right? So how to go about that? Like does it hampers the overall calculation?
Very good question. So, see, we consider this in a long-term way, right? 40 years, 25 years, 30 years, 40 years. Because our financial dependence on this will be for those many years. And I already explained that for next 3 years, whatever we do, we will put it in debt fund. From that we are, in a way, debt fund is not volatile. So wherever the market goes, the debt fund generally remains stable, right? So, and whatever happens, if for 4 years it has not grown, then 2008 has given you, it will compensate you. So that is what the market is. This is an average. So someone can say this is very pessimistic. Someone can say this is optimistic. So sometimes you will, as I told you, you can keep it at 10 or 14. It depends on your risk profile. For me, my risk profile helps me because I'm a medical doctor. I will not end up in corporate again, I know for sure. Because I'm a medical doctor, I can always, if by chance I'm forced to.
So basically what you're saying is, let's say if the markets are not moving at the pace that we are assuming, we'll sort of remove the burden of withdrawal from market to debt.
We will always see, regardless of where the market is, I explain and repeat that for next year, next 3 years, whatever the milestones are, whatever the expenses are, you have to put that money in that fund, regardless of how market is doing. How much risk they want to, they say no, 1 year is enough. But I will advise for you as devotees, for your financial planning, consider the next 3 years expenses and milestones, that money, keep it in the debt fund. And your withdrawals should be from debt fund. And your STP from there, so equity should be to debt fund, from debt fund to withdrawals.
And then like moving forward, it will be a sliding window, like you're consuming 1 year of your funds from the debt, and then you are taking away 1 year of the funds from the equity and putting it in the debt, so that the 3 years is still maintained.
That should always. Because that is very important. You never know when the market goes down. So the next 3 years and this, and then the market will definitely. See, 3 years window, why someone talks 1 year, 3 years or 5 years? Because they know volatility of the market will They know the U curve or the V curve. In Corona, it was V curve market. It went down, but it suddenly came up. Sometimes the recovery may be U curve, and that U may be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. The market niche hai, right? So that is that we are protecting ourselves from that U curve by putting the money in debt fund for our next 3 years at least.
What is that one?
डेट फंड आप आज के हिसाब से सोच लो कि उसमें रिटर्न अपन को 6 से 7% मिलेगा और इक्विटी में 12, 14, 15 मिल सकता है.
It is also type of mutual fund.
इट इज ऑल्सो टाइप ऑफ म्यूचुअल फंड. हमारा पैसा उधर रहेगा, ये पैसा हमें जब जरूरत है निकाल.
Like FD only.
It is like FD only. Now to explain it more, for example, कि जो आपका पैसा प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट है, राइट? If the market, if the principal amount was 1 CR, when market goes down, the principal amount, you may see that becoming 50 lakhs, right? तो 50 lakh के इंटरेस्ट पे आपको मिलेगा रिटर्न. तो अगर 50 लाख के रिटर्न पे आपको मिलेगा तो आपका पैसा निकलता रहेगा, तो प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट ज़्यादा कम होता रहेगा, राइट? तो हम प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट को वी विल नॉट टच, वी विल नेवर टच इट. वी विल टच इट इन अ सेंस, वी विल ट्रांसफर दैट प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट ऑलवेज इनटू दिस डेट फंड. So we will not touch this in a sense because we know that 2-3 साल में market back it will become 1 CR or 1.10. So debt fund will say we will keep withdrawing, which almost all it will change by 1%, not substantially like 10% ऊपर चला गया नीचे चला गया. If you see the market and that volatility is what helps you. That is what gives us return, primarily in stocks. What the difference of? Do you know the difference of stocks and mutual fund?
Stocks you can invest directly into the companies, and mutual funds for brokers.
Yeah. Mutual fund also you can invest directly. See, mutual fund is a mix of around about 50 stocks. तो उसमें क्या है कि वो एक तरीके का शॉकर है. 50 स्टॉक्स हैं, अगर उसमें से 2-3 स्टॉक खराब ही निकल गए तो बाकी 40-45 स्टॉक will contain your which is why you will see mutual fund का return. लेकिन if the whole market is crashing, then those mutual funds also come down because they are market dependent. There would be only exceptional 1 or 2 out of so many that they will not be impacted so much. But generally they see everything comes down. So the art is, if everything comes down, and if by chance you have money, you put more money in, not that you withdraw money. Is a big art. So during Corona, we have invested lot of money. That helped us. अगर हमारा कुछ debt fund में पैसा था, वो सब हम लोगों ने equity में डाल दिया. Because we knew that this is the theory of the market. Market will always, when it comes down, it will always go up. So if it has come down and if you have money, पैसा डाल दो. पूरा पैसा एक बार में मत डालो. When it is coming down in layers, you keep putting money. And ऐसे पैसा निकालने का भी, if it is, you think it is really high, if you want to withdraw करके, some devotees do. If you do that financial course, you will understand. If you really want, if you have some passion for it, you can. I don't have, so I don't. Any other question? So, I will give this sheet like, okay, so we can stop recording.